we're about to have a real crisis on our hands of women taking this chemical abortion pill. We are going to see just unforeseen and untold psychological damage to women that have done this.
Abby is the former director of a Planned Parenthood abortion clinic. She was so dedicated to her work, she was recognized as Employee of the Year by Planned Parenthood. Today, Abby is a speaker, a writer, and a fierce advocate for life. Thank you, Abby, for being here today.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Well, I've got a number of topics that I'm looking forward to talking to you about, but I thought I'd start with one of my favorite things that you do, and that's your work to help abortion workers leave the abortion industry. And I know the organization that you started is called And Then There Were None. Can you tell us a little bit about how you knew that this ministry was where God was calling you to be a part of the pro-life movement?
Sure. Well, I didn't know initially. I went to a conference. It was in 2010, I think. I left the industry in 2009. And in 2010, I went to this conference in Los Angeles. And I got off the stage, and there were a lot of people there. It was a huge conference, and there were over 10,000 people there. And so I walk off the stage, and down this long corridor, I heard this woman screaming my name, like this desperate scream. And the host that was hosting me there, they had security with me that day. And the security guards, they were like, don't go over there. And I said, oh, I'm going. I mean, I hear somebody screaming for me like that, I'm going. So I walked over there and walked up to this woman, and she just fell into my arms. And I thought, oh, well, she's probably had an abortion. That's what I thought. And so I said, what's the deal? What's going on? And she said, I work for Planned Parenthood of Los Angeles. And she said, I don't want to go back. And so I said, okay, well, that was my first time to ever encounter someone who was, currently working in the abortion industry and did not want to go back. And so I said, okay, well, then you won't go back. We'll make sure you don't have to go back. And I just thought, okay, there's got to be something out there for people like this woman, people like me who want to leave their job, don't know where to go. And we had all these other ministries in, the pro-life movement for everybody under the sun. I thought, surely there's something out there for this woman. I looked, and there was nothing. And so we helped this woman leave, got her another job. It was great. I'm still in a relationship with her even to this day, all these years later. And that was when I started praying. And I said, Lord, please put it on someone's heart to start a ministry to help abortion clinic workers leave their jobs. And I prayed that for months. I was like, just anybody, God, just put it on their heart. And after a few months, I realized he was like, it's you, dummy. You're the person, right? And so that was I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to start a nonprofit. I knew how to run one. I'd worked at Planned Parenthood for years, but I didn't know how to start a nonprofit. So we just jumped into it and got it started. And I went to my new friends in the pro-life movement, and I said, this is what I want to do. What do you think? I thought I had this great idea. And most of them looked at me and just sort of patted me on the head and said, that's really cute. That's really sweet that you want to do that. But Abby, some people, they're just too far gone. And nobody's going to leave. Nobody's going to come to this. It's really sweet you want to do this, but it's just never going to work. And I'm thinking, really? You're looking at me saying that? I mean, I was one of those people. And they all just said, well, but you're different. And I thought, I'm not different. I was this wretched, wretched sinner in need of a Savior. And he found me, and now I'm here. And I thought, if he can do that for me, he can do that for anybody. And so, if you know me, then you know that just made me want to do it even more. So we got it started. We thought if we had 12 workers leave in that first year, that would be just mega miraculous success. And in the first year, we had 56 workers leave. And we knew that not only was this something that was needed, but God was blessing this in a way that we hadn't even expected. And, we've been at it for 10 years. We've had 640 abortion clinic workers now leave, and that includes 7 full-time abortion doctors who have left and have come through our ministry. God is doing amazing things, and he does amazing things just with our obedience when we say yes, when we say, okay, I'll do it. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm going to do it. And he's doing amazing things through these women and men who have given their yes.
Praise God. That's so exciting to hear. And as you think about the people that you're serving, what is the number one reason that you're hearing for why people want out?
I don't know if there's a number one reason, but there's kind of 3 main themes that we see. One is that there's been something traumatic happen with a baby in a clinic. So, either a baby was born alive and they killed it after it was born alive, or they, were first introduced to the POC lab, going back and having to piece the babies back together, something like that. There was an incident with one of our workers where she witnessed an abortion of quadruplets. And that was very traumatic for her and the rest of the staff. And actually, all of the staff of that clinic that witnessed that ended up leaving. Or something traumatic happened with a woman. So a woman was left to, almost hemorrhage to death on a table. They refused to call an ambulance. A woman was held down and forced to have an abortion when she was trying to get up off the table. Something traumatic with a woman. Or, maybe a woman did die, something like that. Or what we've been seeing in the past couple of years that has sort of been a consistent theme that we've been seeing among the workers who have left is they really become disenchanted with their work because they bought in to the idea that they were going in to help women in these really unfortunate circumstances. And what they're finding is that the women coming in to have abortions are so incredibly calloused about the decision to abort their babies. And they're seeing women come in 5, 6, 7, 12 times. And they realize that what they were sold, this bill of goods that they were sold, that abortion is this unfortunate thing that happens in these rare circumstances, is not true. That women are, they hate their babies. That they're having abortions because they hate their babies. And they're callous towards life. And that is what is causing them to say, this is not what I signed up for. I went in because I thought I was doing a good thing. And they recognized, because of the callousness of these women, that they are actually participating in something very evil.
Wow. I'm curious to know, in the time since Roe's been overturned, have you noticed if that has impacted the desire of any abortion worker to want to leave the industry, or to be impacted maybe by stories or debates that are happening in the public sphere? Have you noticed if Roe's reversal has had any impact on that?
A lot of people made the assumption that once Roe was overturned, that our ministry in particular was going to just boom with workers wanting to leave. And I didn't believe that was going to be the case. Because I remember being a clinic worker and the pro-life movement having successes. And I remember what that felt like. I remember being angry when the pro-life movement would have some sort of victory. And I was angry, and it made me even more committed to my job. And so I remember when Roe was overturned, I remember thinking this is going to slow down the amount of workers that are coming to us, because they're going to really dig their heels in and they're going to be angry. And so that was what we initially saw. Was we actually saw less workers coming to us immediately after Roe was overturned. Now we are seeing that change. So now we're seeing kind of an influx of workers coming to us now that the dust has settled, and they're starting to, more and more women that work in these clinics are starting to see that abortion is just a product that they're selling. And particularly at clinics in California and New York and these abortion destination sites, where they are really selling this product, and they're, trying to get women to fly in from, all these other states, and pushing the commodification of these children and women. It grosses them out. I mean, I don't have a better word for it, but they're just like, this is gross. What are we doing? We're not helping women. We are really selling abortion to these women, and we're being encouraged to sell abortion. And they're just like, this is not what I signed up for. And this is truly an abortion business. And, they're being encouraged to increase their abortion quotas higher and higher and higher. And they see that everything we've been saying about abortion and about the abortion industry is true. They may have not seen it before, but now, everything that was quiet is being said out loud. And they're finally, for the first time, I think, hearing it.
Do you think that ministry that's happening at abortion clinics like Sidewalk counselors, I know that's kind of a part of your story, having some influence of their passion and their engagement with the pro-life cause, do you think that that's still impactful today? Do you think that the engagement of the pro-life community on the sidewalks is making a difference for abortion workers?
Oh, 100%, yeah. It makes a huge difference if you do it right. Mm-hmm. If you do it correctly, if you do it with love, if you go out there with the heart of Christ, and you go out there, without anger, and you go out there with the right spirit, yes, I think it makes all the difference. At our ministry, about 50% of workers who come through our ministry heard about us because of someone on the sidewalk who told them about our ministry. So it makes a huge difference. We know it makes a huge difference in the lives of women who are going in and thinking about having an abortion, who have an appointment for an abortion. We know it makes a huge difference. We know Sidewalk Advocates for Life, they have saved now over 19,000 babies who, their moms were scheduled to have an abortion to take the lives of their babies, and because someone was out there on that sidewalk, they changed their mind just at the last minute. So we know it has a huge impact. I've told this story and this statistic so many times, most people probably heard it, but the last year I was at Planned Parenthood, I went at the Planned Parenthood National Conference, I went into a breakout session called Anti-Choice Harassment. And it was talking about all the people on the sidewalk. And they gave a statistic that said they had looked at the no-show rates outside of clinics, clinics that had people outside, clinics that didn't. And they compared those two rates. What they found was that when people are outside praying on the sidewalks, their no-show rate goes as high as 75%. So as high as 75% of these women driving by who have appointments, they just keep driving. They don't even pull into the parking lot. And that makes sense, because I think when we're out in front of these clinics, when we are showing this public witness, when we are praying, it's like we are an outward sign of their inward conscience. We're showing them that what they are going in there to do is morally objectionable. And I think a lot of them know that. They know that instinctually. They know that what they're doing is, there's something not quite right about it. They feel that. But when we're and a lot of them say, I was praying for a sign. I was looking for a sign. And then I pulled up and you were outside and you were my sign. We hear that all the time. So our work makes a huge difference to the women who are going in to have appointments and to the abortion clinic workers as well.
I love to talk big picture with you. Since Roe's reversal, there have been many pro-life wins at the state level, but there have also been a good deal of losses. At the ballot box, legally, it feels like there's still so much work to do to create a life-affirming culture in America. What do you think is the way forward for the pro-life movement in a post-Roe America?
Yeah, we have had quite a few losses, actually. Propositions have failed at the state level. Kansas had a big loss. Virginia just had a loss. I mean, at the state level, I can't say that we're really winning in a lot of states. We knew that was a risk, overturning Roe. Our culture is so profoundly anti-life, and so we have to contend with that. But I don't think anybody ever believed, or if they did, they were wrong to believe this. I don't think anybody should have ever believed that we're going to win this war through legislation. Nobody should ever believe that. I mean, yes, laws are important. We know that because we know that for many people, legality equals morality. So we know that. We know that the law is a teacher. So we know that laws are important. But that's not how we make abortion unthinkable in this country. The pro-life movement's strength has always been their ground game. It's always been that grassroots movement. And that's what we need to continue to expand on. We need to continue recruiting people to go out in front of these abortion clinics. We need to continue to increase our presence, inside of pregnancy centers. We need to become more technologically advanced in the pro-life movement. Are we reaching young people through apps, through advertising, through, clicking different things that I don't even understand, right? But are we doing that well? Are we reaching them through competent branding, visually? How are we doing this well? So we need definitely to expand in that area. We definitely have some challenges. We need to be smart at the state level, how we're moving forward. Not every pro-life law is made equal. So we need to be smart about that. Not every proposition needs to be passed. Not every pro-life law that pops up in front of us is one that is wise. So we need to be smart. We need to listen to the experts, at the pro-life legislative level and follow their directives. We definitely need to be wise here, but we need to be coming together and doing the things that we know work. And we need to be, I think more than ever, we need to be very bold. We're about to have a real crisis on our hands of women taking this chemical abortion pill. An FDA has essentially turned every woman's home into an abortion facility by allowing the chemical abortion pills to be distributed through any pharmacy. We in the pro-life movement, we need to educate ourselves on medication abortion, on chemical abortion, on the dangers, on the risks. We need to listen to women's stories. We need to be repeating those things. We need to be sounding the alarm. We need to be putting out those smoke signals. we need to be educating women on the dangers of these things. Because I think otherwise, if we don't, I think we are going to live in a society where these women that have done this are, not only are they going to face physical repercussions of taking these very dangerous drugs, but we are going to see just unforeseen and untold psychological damage to women that have done this. And I'm not even sure that we really understand how great the damage is going to be. So it's our responsibility to step out of our comfort zones, whether it's social media, in our churches, with our families, with our friends, in our community, wherever it is. It's our responsibility to step out of our comfort zones and to really bang on this drum, because lives are literally on the line.
On that topic of chemical abortions, what kind of an impact do you think what's happening, making it more accessible, is going to have on Planned Parenthood?
Yeah, so that's really an interesting question. So Planned Parenthood, I think, is really devastated by the news of this going into every pharmacy, because this greatly affects their bottom line in a negative way, because they've been making a pretty penny on medication abortion, charging more for medication abortion than they were surgical abortion. So in most cases, they were charging, $500 for a surgical abortion, but they were charging anywhere from $700 to $800 for the medication abortion. This is going to greatly affect their budget, but they can't come out on social media and say, guys, can we roll this back? This is bad. This is bad for our budget. They can't say that. So they have to come out, in unity and say, this is fantastic for women. We love it, right? So, but I think they're freaking out. And I think in the past 13 years that I've been out of the abortion industry, I think this is the weakest that Planned Parenthood has ever been. I think they're financially weak. I think they're weak at the state level. And so I think this is the time for us to really capitalize on that weakness, because when Planned Parenthood is weak, their overall abortion movement is weak, because they are the guiding ship of the abortion movement. We don't really have that in the pro-life movement. Everybody kind of works on their own and does their own thing. We don't have like one organization that guides us. They do. And that's Planned Parenthood. And so when they are falling apart, their whole movement falls apart. So now is really the time for us to jump in on that, and to take advantage of that, and to be using it, and to be using this momentum that we have right now. And they are very weak. They're going to be financially weak. They're going to be weak in the media. And I think now is a great time for our pregnancy centers to really step up and to stand in that gap.
So thinking about what you mentioned, the idea of making abortion unthinkable. So many in the pro-life movement, many of them have been laboring for 50 years to see it be overturned, to see Roe overturned. What word of encouragement do you have? Obviously, a cultural battle takes a whole lot longer, even longer than 50 years. I imagine it's going to take even longer than that. What word of encouragement do you have for those in the pro-life movement? Maybe they've been in it a long time. Maybe they just joined it. But they see that the work to change culture is actually so much harder than just changing a law. What's your word of encouragement? How can we stay the course and not be discouraged?
Yeah, it is hard work. And it's not, sometimes when you're doing this really hard thing and you're seeing kind of the worst of our society, right? I mean, you're seeing innocent children be killed. It can be draining. And what I tell people sometimes is that you may need a break. You might need a break. You might need 3 months. You might need 6 months to step back, spend time with your kids, go fishing, immerse yourself in whatever job you do from 9 to 5, right? You might need some time. If you're feeling burned out, if you're feeling weary, you might need some time. Take the time. Come back. Come back ready to fight. It's okay to take time for yourself if you need it. Jesus took time to rest. We can take time to rest. But we have to come back. We have to come back in fighting shape. We don't need weary soldiers. We need soldiers who are ready to engage in this cultural battle, and that's what it is. But we need to engage with love, with understanding. We don't always get that right. I don't always get it right. I have to always constantly ask for forgiveness. We don't always get it right, but we go in with the right heart. We go in with the right spirit. And we just keep fighting. And we know that in this fight, lives are saved. We know that in this fight, eternal lives are saved. And that's really the goal. I mean, I don't think we win this by just advocating to end abortion. I think we win this by bringing people to the saving knowledge of Christ. That's really how we win. And if we do that, if we bring people back to the Lord, then people reject abortion because they know how much it hurts the heart of God. And they can't even imagine choosing something that would hurt him in that way. That's why we reject sin, because it hurts the heart of our Father. And it takes us out of his light, and we want to walk in his light. And so I think that's really the clarion call to Christians. Don't be ashamed of your faith. Don't be ashamed of the gospel. Be clear in your beliefs, and always be moving to bring hearts to the Lord.
Abby Johnson, thank you so much for being with us today.
Of course, thank you so much.